Hey there you guys, welcome back. Well, today we're in for an adventure. I've had this particular, let me try to lift it up here. I've had this particular plant in, I love this pot, but I never see this pot because it's inside another pot, which is a shame. I've had this planter, I think, it's been in here for at least 4 years, maybe a little bit longer. It's in a very low light situation, so the plants inside are really gangly and not really looking so pretty. So I tend to keep things that really grow easily in low light situations. So I've stuck with things like pothos or philodendron. This Schefflera has really done well for me. So yeah, I've been using low light things. It gets light, but it doesn't get like a direct, really good sun. So a lot of things will, like I said, get gangly and gross. And I wanted to have this as sort of a little bit of a display thing. We're going to clean this up today. We're going to make it sort of prettier. It's not really going to look that pretty first thing because we're going to hack a lot of this stuff back. After all, we've got some of this, I'm not sure whether this is a pothos or a philodendron. Please let me know. I have seen it in the past. I think it's a variety of pothos. But it's got beautiful foliage. But as you can see, it's got all kinds of length without leaves. So we're going to take some cuttings of these and pot those in the pot. So this one will cut down to probably here. And then we're going to have the leafy part of it in the pot close by. And let it start again. So it's going to look a little bit sparse after we finish, but I want to also add a special section. We're going to have a 4-inch pot sunk into the planter so that different seasons, so in the springtime I could put some spring bulbs in, and I just plunk this pot right into the hole that's in the planter, and then when that season is done I can pull it out and then put something new. So around Christmas time I'll put a 4-inch poinsettia in. Springtime daffodils, maybe some small tulips, some hyacinths or grape hyacinths. You get the idea. Maybe Gerbera daisy. I don't know. Whatever I can find that's in a 4-inch pot size. Maybe a houseplant that I already have that's doing something nice. Perhaps an orchid in bloom. We don't know. So I just want to have a little reservoir in the pot that we can plunk something different in, to add a little bit of life, a little bit of color, because as you know, it's hard to find something that is in bloom in a low light spot. You could get plants that do well, but they usually have a lot of green growth. So yeah, I want to have something to display some color. Anyway, without going on and on and on about the same thing, let's just get into it. Let's take this thing apart and start having fun. Welcome to the adventure. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of a lot of these extra growths. So I'm just going to take some scissors. I'm going to just prune back some of these stems. If I was a little bit more into this, I would try to save more, but I'm not going to bother. Just going to take the growth tips, and I'm going to throw out the remaining crazy wonky stems. It's really crazy in here. So I'm just going to get rid of all these cords. So I'll be back in just a second, and I'll show you what the plant looks like without all of these cords of things. And again, if I wanted to, there's roots along these stems. I could cut them into cuttings where I had 2 nodes, and I could rest these on moist soil and have it in like a greenhouse environment, and they probably would sprout. But I'm not going to worry about that. I've got lots here. I'm just going to start fresh. Okay, so I found a little pot that I can easily stick this 4-inch pot into. And this is what we're going to bury into the soil. This is the pot. Finally can see it, by the way. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful pot? I wanted to put this inside this pot and then have the plants grow around it. But then I realize now that this pot is way too small. But the spot where this is sitting, it's sitting in a big black bowl. And you don't see this pot anyway. So I'm going to transfer it to this slightly larger pot. That way this can sit off in the corner and there's still plenty of room for the other plants to grow quite happily. So we're going to do that. So let's dump this out. We have a peperomia in here, and we have the I think it's a pothos. Let's try not to kill the peperomia. Sometimes they could be a little bit delicate. I'm not really caring if I break any roots. Like I said, it's been in here for a very long time. I'm going to change as much of the soil as I can. Beautiful, beautiful pot. This was supposed to be a pot cover, but we ended up drilling a hole in the bottom so that it could drain. So, as you can see here, actually I'll move the camera down just a little bit. You'll find it easier to see what I'm doing. Okay, so let's try and get this poor peperomia out of here. Oh, the poor thing, it doesn't really have any roots, as you can see. So we're just going to plant that in the soil about up to here, and it should root out. So we'll stick that off to the side, the poor thing. I'm going to tease this soil away. The soil is so dry, it's just coming right away. Very easy. Got this Schefflera here. I'm actually going to add this other Schefflera that I had at the under the grow lights, because this one is quite tall. When we cleaned out all of the other crazy that was in the pot, you're definitely going to notice that there's a bald spot. So this is smaller, so it's going to fill in the base of the plant. Look at all these roots. Just a crazy mass. It's going to take the plants a little bit of time to recover from this, but that's alright. So we got the Schefflera here with all the roots. Going to move it off to the side. We've got all of this pothos here with all the roots. We're going to move it off to the side as well. Just going to pause the video. I'm going to clean off the workstation, and we'll start again, and we'll start putting this thing together. Shall we? Okay, so we've got a nice clean work area. About time. So let's get this prepped to put the pot in here. The pot itself sits just a little less than an inch below the soil of the surface of the soil. So we're going to just raise it up just a little teeny bit. I'm going to take my usual method of putting some paper towel in the base here to stop any of the soil from washing out when we water. And I'm just going to take my all-purpose soil here, and I'm just going to put just a little bit of soil in the bottom. Basically just a very light layer, as you can see, just to cover the bottom. I'm just trying to raise this up a little bit. That's perfect. There's about a ½ inch now of space from the top of the pot to the actual top of the pot. So now, that's great. Now we're going to start placing some of these things. I've got the large Schefflera that we're going to stick in here at the back. That'll go right there. I've got this pothos root here too, so we want to keep that sort of close to the surface so that it doesn't suffocate. So I'm going to put a little bit of soil in the pot to kind of stabilize things while we get down to business. All right. So that's more stable now. And now I'm going to take this other Chiflera out of its pot. Just going to remove all the soil from the roots, or a lot of the soil anyway. I'm just going to, like I said, I'm going to plant it close to the base of the other one. That way, visually, when you look at it, it's not going to feel so empty. This area here will be full, and then down near the soil surface will be full as well. So we'll add a little bit more soil. Ongoing process. I love this soil shovel by, I think the name is Elho. E-L-H-O. They make some really fun products. Fun shapes and colors. Alright, so we're going to move this this pothos stem back up here. Things are still moving around on us. That's alright. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. We've got all these roots here of the pothos that we need to set in here, and we've got all kinds of soil. Let's take some of this soil out. My goodness, it's always a work in progress, isn't it? So we've got this large clump of pothos. We'll stick it right here at the corner. Gonna tuck the roots in. Any roots that don't fit, we can break off, no problem. They will create new ones. I need a smaller pot to move some soil around. That big scoop is only good for the big areas. When we get down to the fine-tuning areas, we need a smaller one. So I'm just going to grab a small pot. It'll help me get into these spots a little bit better. We'll probably have to keep adding soil to this over time, because it's slowly going to nestle in around the root systems. And to get in around the crevices. Okay, we've got all kinds of soil in there now. Firmly pack it in. With these plants, it's different than orchids. They don't like air pockets around their root systems. So you want to be very careful with that. I'm going to take this lovely peperomia. I'm just making a hole with my finger, and we're going to stick it down in there. Give it a new home. Actually going to rest this pothos in around the pot, thusly. Then this one here, we'll bring it around the pot as well. You'll find that when you give pothos somewhere for the aerial roots to dig into, the leaves get bigger. So it's a fun experience to get the pothos leaves up a lot bigger. They can get up to, I'm going to say, 10 inches long. I've seen them longer than that. I've seen them about 12 inches. But I want to be a little bit more realistic for in the house growing. If you grow them outside and they're allowed to ramble up trees or in a garden, the leaves get quite big. Just filling up these holes. Remember to be Gentle yet firm with the roots. Making sure to get rid of any air pockets. You want to leave a little bit of a gap between the top of the pot and your soil so that when you water it, the water doesn't run out. Are you able to see this very well? Let me move the camera down just a little bit. So we got all kinds of stuff going on in here. Need some more soil around the back. Looks like a crazy jungle. Alright then. So it looks like we almost don't even need to add any of the pothos in that we took cuttings of. All of the existing ones wrap around this pot quite nicely. If I add any more, it's just going to look really silly. And we put that pot in there for a reason. You can add a little bit of color, just like that. So I'll show you a finished product of down in the pot area, and tell me what you think. Do you like it? Do you like the idea of having an area that you could just pull this out, pop another bit of color in there? I think it's a great idea, especially for a low light situation. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this repotting adventure, and if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you're growing. I want to know if maybe 'tis the season to start potting some of your plants up. So maybe you're doing some fun project, maybe a bigger scale than this. I'd love to see what you're up to. You guys are so creative. And if you're doing the same thing, show me what your project looked like in the end. Love to see it. If you haven't already joined the Facebook page, Plants and Things What's Growing, feel free. It's a fun group there. We all share some fantastic photos and experiences, answer some questions if questions arise. Yeah, so anyway, happy growing, everyone. Their pot together anyway. I'm going opposite. I'm going against the grain. I want to put them together rather than split them all apart and have more of the same thing. So how am I going to put this? I'm going to put the